Hey Flea Fam, welcome to another episode of You,
Me,
and the Flea. Happy Thursday.
We're back.
We're back. What are you laughing at?
Yeah.
Guest of honor.
Just love being here.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Happy Thursday. We are back with Justin Joseph. And today, guys, I was obviously thinking it's January, and we are talking resolutions, personal development, growth. I mean, Rachel and I have been talking about that for weeks. And obviously, one thing that's really big on that is going to conferences. Mm-hmm. Right?
Right. Definitely.
I always force Justin as my superior to let me go to these things. And so, yeah, that's what we're talking about today. So,
Nice.
No better person than the NFMA President, because that is
Big
our next upcoming conference.
OG dog.
Than
It is
Mr.
Justin
President himself.
Joseph.
Okay, Justin Joseph. So, anyways, guys, wanted to talk, especially because we've all been to the same conference
What a fun time.
with you professionals.
Can I say I'm a little salty I'm not going this year? I'm like,
know.
do you guys need an extra to come?
Oh, no.
Honestly, it was so much fun though.
Yeah, so anyways, I mean, Vegas, Orlando. What are some other big common conference spots have you guys seen?
I feel
think Atlanta's a
I
good
was
one.
gonna say, I've even seen the Midwest, over here, Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago's a big one.
Yeah.
What about you, Justin? What
No,
have you seen?
generally Orlando. I hear Florida's big, across Florida, here,
Is
Vegas.
Scottsdale taking off, or am I making that up?
I haven't seen much there.
I don't know, but where did I just see that there was
I
a
feel like there's a
conference
bunch
and
of
I
conference
was like,
centers there.
what? Minnesota or something, and I was like, really? I guess
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good hub. Well, I'm happy ours is in Vegas usually. That's
Yeah.
always a...
There's so many here. I mean,
Chicago's a big one.
by,
Yeah.
by O'Hare, and then in the city here at McCormick, Rosemont. So I think a lot of them are here.
Me, living by all the hotels, literally, I see Lanyard City.
Yeah. Yeah,
Lanyards and shuttles
literally.
everywhere. I don't hate it though.
I don't either. Hey, at
I'm
least
let me read your polo today.
honestly, that might be something to get into.
Honestly.
In town, quick little visit for the
Dude,
conference. Hi, bye,
should
get
either-
a drink, gotta go.
I should either become an Uber driver to take these people to
No, because you don't like to talk to your people in your Ubers.
Well, I
have you ever
would-
been in an Uber with her?
You'd have to be forced to talk.
I know.
She's
so,
like,
yeah.
no,
okay.
stop asking
Guys.
questions.
Actually, yes, you two are the questionnaires
We
in the
like-
The
Ubers.
talkers.
We'd like to know where they're from. We
Literally,
like
you
How's your
both are
day?
the
to know
absolute
the day,
worst.
the work, family.
Yes.
Do
What
you live
made
in Chicago? How long have you been driving for? Is this your full-time job?
Rachel literally asked, "How many rides have you done today?" To our last.
Usually my first question is, did you start now or are you ending? Are you beginning or the end of the
Oh,
day?
I like that. That's a good one.
Generally on vacation I'm more chatty than I am local.
Yeah.
You too.
So, but I'll test the waters to
Oh,
see
I'm
how it goes.
I'm definitely more
local.
chatty
You know?
than here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Yes.
talk as much in Chicago, but put me in Florida, man.
Oh my.
Christina was like,
God.
"Are you serious?" Shut up.
I'm just like, why? Why don't you talk to me? And she's like, tell them why you want. Why do you like to
Because
talk?
they're a lot more fun. That's why.
No, Justin's the worst because Justin will be like, "Excuse me, sir, what neighborhood are we in?" And I'm like, dude, okay, but think about this hypothetically. In the city, 90% of the time, everyone that's an Uber driver
Yeah.
is not from here. They're from the suburbs, or they're I mean,
Yeah.
it's very rare that you have someone that lives in the city. So if I'm what neighborhood are we in? He doesn't know if it's Lakeview or Lincoln Park or,
Yeah.
do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if it's something else, so same thing with in Boston when we were there. You're like, "Sir, are we on the north end?" And it's he don't know.
I
He's
kind of
like,
like
"Well,
that.
I
He
don't
faked
know, I
it
don't
pretty well.
know.
I was
Yeah, I like
impressed.
that.
He tried.
Whatever.
He tried.
Anyways, let's talk conferences.
Yeah, let's talk them.
Do you guys go to a lot?
No, I want to go to more. I'm going to start, I think, just taking myself to them.
I think so too.
But it's definitely, I feel better when you got one person to go with you. a little bit,
Totally.
you know?
When you have a little support.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm here with my HR person and whatever the case may be. Like, we're doing, you know, research on the next, whoever's presenting. I don't know. For me, I just don't love going places alone. Which I feel like people are like, oh my God, why? You can talk to anyone. I don't. I prefer going with a plus one.
If there's anything to do by yourself, I feel like a conference is one because it like forces you to like
you
talk to other
have to
people.
talk to people. Yeah.
If that's the vibe of it. Justin, what do you think?
Yeah, Justin.
No, I think they're great. You know, I didn't do a lot of them until you came on board. And then you had mentioned the previous company, we were always allowed to use a budget to go do professional development.
I had something like that too at my old job where like they would allotted me like, I think it was like $1,500 a year. And then like I could like, it could be like a trip. If it was like a conference in a different city, then I would have to use that to like pay for the flight. But yeah, I've also had a job like that. And I think that's great because one, they're like, what is the word? Where they're like in something, they're people. Like they're like letting
invested.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
We're very big on that here. At least I try to be. I'm like, are you invested in me?
Every day. Every day I hear it, okay?
I'm like, listen.
Yeah, she'd be a tough one.
But no, to touch on that, I think that was really nice. I think only 1 year I took advantage of it, but it was nice to have that. And, you know, Christine and I worked together prior to Swap-O-Rama, and she brought it over. She's like, hey, she'll be sending me seminars on various topics, but finally, let's go. And we went to a marketing expo and a content jam, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of information, overwhelming for me because I don't know your world that much, but it was fun and took a lot away from it. It was like 8 hours, I think, 9 hours, and so that was the first one. And then the second one, we were about a month ago or 2 months ago. We went to a like a team building, Aspire, and just it was financial / all different topics of like success stories and
entrepreneurship. Really,
it was cool. So I think they're great.
And the NFMA.
Obviously the NFMA.
The National Flea Market Association.
That's why
if you're
we're
new here.
today.
Yes.
Yes, the NFMA, to segue into that, fantastic. Each year we generally have it February. And it's an amazing experience with, you know, creating agendas to networking, which we could touch on. But it's just an awesome, awesome time.
Rachel, what kind have you been to?
Conference-wise?
Conference-wise.
NFMA. What else have I been to?
So I used to be in social work, and I did like a lot of like racial. Like I've gone to like
DE, like
a DEI.
That's what I've done. DEI and like all when I was in the mortgage world, it was DEI ones, and then like
I've gone to like family therapy type ones and things like that. So I've done a lot,
like mental help in the workplace as well, but those were both through like my mortgage job. Yeah.
Did you ever do like any like trade show like like makeup ones or anything before, or have you like gone to?
I've personally done makeup at a trade show.
You've done makeup at
but
one.
I haven't like presented or anything like that.
Okay,
this was like when I was in makeup school. We like had to
that's cool.
to like graduate.
I feel like they're kind of similar. Like it's like not a learning experience, but you're like exposed to, you know, networking and things like that too, which is really nice. All right, guys, let's talk like benefits of conferences. So obviously, I don't just like ask to go to them for nothing. It's like one of those things where I feel like once you graduate, like school, for example, like all of us, you know, did some sort of education, and so it's like one way to like keep up with everything, because it's really hard to, like for example in the marketing world, it's so hard to keep up with like trends or like what's relevant now. Like AI has taken over. Before it was like social media platforms and like all this stuff, and now it's like, I mean, from when I went to school and was introduced to this, and even when first starting marketing, it's like totally night and day different. And so like for me, like a conference is like that like ongoing educational component too, where it's like I feel like I'm staying like fresh with topics that are relevant to what I'm doing. So I always think about that. Same thing with like HR. I mean, if you think about HR topics, God, 20 years ago to now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, for
Yeah.
example, a woman
Oh, yeah.
could wear a low like V-neck cut like top before and not get anything, but now it's like sexual harassment if someone looks at her, like whatever. Like, there's just so many things that have changed in our industries that I feel like conferences can really help with. What do you
I
guys
think conferences are good too because it's like you're meeting with like-minded individuals
Yep,
who are
exactly.
in the same space you are. And for me, like even think about when me and you are having like our planning meetings or like our analytic meetings, like you say something that I'm like, oh, blah, 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 and then this, it's like you bounce ideas off each other.
Right.
And so that's what I really like about conferences. It's like, you know, you guys are all in the same industry, but they do things a little bit different over here, and then they might do it completely different over here, and it's like, well, this works because of this.
Right.
So I think it's like a good place to kind of like touch base and see
Right.
what is going on in, you know, the industry and what everyone is kind of doing competition wise.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
I think that's great. One thing I can add to this is that I feel like when you're going around the room and talking to people at a conference, their guard is down for the
Yeah,
most
that's
part.
true.
And you're able to extract information from another professional that maybe doesn't have the time during the day unless you set it with them.
That's true.
And they'll undivided attention, the phone's in the pocket or whatever. So I've gotten a lot of good information from people at the conferences, especially the NFMA, where everyone is open and, you know, willing to share ideas, and
Yeah.
which is super helpful on the ground level. So.
Yeah, no, that's actually such a good point, because it's so hard when you're having like a date, even like if you called someone, like no one's going to give you really their like insight, but when everyone's giving a little bit, it's like it feels easier, like you're mentioning, to
Oh, yeah.
like
Yeah.
kind of open up about
Yep.
what's happening, and like, you know, because I'm not going to tell someone I'm struggling during the week, but then I could, you know, go to a conference with a colleague who understands what I'm going through, and being like, wow, I had like a horrible quarter because, you know, blah, 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 and then that person can relate a ton more, I think.
Yeah.
What are like, of the conferences that you've been to, like, structure-wise, what do you guys like? Do you guys like the straight up when someone's like just presenting and like
No.
you're just like learning like teacher style?
No.
Do we like breakout sessions? Do we like
give me in a
hands-on
group,
activities?
hands-on, give me breakout, give me in a group with people that I don't work with all the time.
Really?
The ADHD kicks in, and I'm like, if I just got one person up there talking, I'm like, oh man, I'm fading out.
Yeah.
Like seriously, I need like the interaction. Wake me up a bit, shake me in my seat.
Okay.
I feel like it's a combo. I feel like there's certain
Yeah.
presentations that
Yeah.
require.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
nice to see a PowerPoint
Yep.
or whatever they're doing.
Totally.
And listening to their expertise and writing down what I need to take away.
Right.
And then there's other things where the breakouts are fantastic, where you're getting the one-on-one, you can ask questions, talk to other people if that's what's going on, and strategize, and group activities are fun too. So
Yeah.
I think they're both, depending on the individual, you know, and but I think they're both pretty good
Totally.
options. But if they're all
Like school
presented,
style.
if they're
Yeah,
all school
yeah, yeah.
style, for 7, 8, 9 hours, it can be a long day for some folks.
Yeah.
So yes, I do understand, and they do 15 minutes for some people,
Yeah.
30
Yeah.
minutes for others. So the keynote's 45 hours. So that can break it up, and then you get 10 minutes or whatever. But yeah, I think both are solid.
I think so too, and I think you're right on. Like, I think the best conference has like knows the formula of like, you know, waking you up in the
Yeah,
afternoon
yep.
and like kind of, you know, engaging you with whatever, or like when you have like a solid speaker, those are the people I want to learn from, right? So it's like I do want to hear like the nuts and bolts of like how
Oh,
they got to where they got
absolutely.
to. So I definitely don't mind, you know, sitting through a 45-minute presentation of somebody's like
Oh, no,
really
no.
good content.
I don't mind
you
that
know?
at all. I'm just saying, I don't necessarily learn the best if it's like that all day long.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And I think, excuse me, I think to touch on what you're saying as far as the structure of the day is very important when you're planning who speaks when and
Right.
what topic and what day, if it's a multi-day, whatever, because that will keep the audience engaged, and that can be a challenge at times if you don't structure it properly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to be fair, that last one, the content one that we went to, it was all kind of back-to-back PowerPoint speakers, and if you, especially for someone who didn't understand, like I kept like looking at him being like, are you good? Like, it was just overwhelming. Like, some of the information, even for me who like does it day to day, I was like, whoa. And these are like, you know, they brought in some really good people, but it was a lot.
Well, that's what opened my eyes to a true conference, that it's been a long time, and
Totally.
it was really, really cool to experience that and get back at it.
But then, like, flipping it to like the one we went to most recently, like that one was like these people, the people that spoke were like borderline celebrities, right? Like, they're like big time founders, and like, you know, the one guy had like 7 million followers like on Instagram, like big time David Goggins. But like, it was just, that one had so much hype and like just energy where you're just like, whoa, like it was just like adrenaline hitting you in the face every time someone would come on stage, and it was like almost performative. It was so good. So I'm like, I need that. Yeah. And also, can you come work with me? Yeah. I need your help. Okay. Obviously, another part of it is like networking. So let's chat networking at a conference. Do we love it? Do we hate it?
I think you gotta do it. No, I don't think it's awkward. I don't think any networking is awkward, right? I think it's like some people get the ick from it. It's like cringy. I think it's like what you're there to do.
Yeah.
You know?
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
At the end, yeah. Like, you want to get to know people who are like in the same world as you.
Right.
And plus, I just am like somebody who thinks like, I don't know everything, right? Like, you might be doing something completely better. I would love to have like that contact that I can reach out to later on and be like, oh, X, Y, and Z.
I think networking is amazing. I love talking to people, love getting to know them as a person and then a business person as well. We've met some amazing people in the association, National Flea Market Association, and just such great relationships, you know, that go way past the 2-day conference, and from visiting them at their markets and getting nice tours to just having dinner with them if they're in town. So I think it's just networking is, you get so many good things from just starting a conversation with someone that's next to you. You don't even know them. Just, hi, how are you? Yeah. What market do you work with? You know, just anything to break the ice and just be that person. Just be outside your comfort zone. If you're not comfortable with it, give it a try. It's fun. It works out 99.9% of the time to where the conversation will continue, or, you know, will lead to something else throughout the conference or after. You know?
Down the line.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too, because, for example, at the NFMA conference, when I remember like my first round at it, it is a little intimidating though, and it is like kind of hard to network when you don't know anyone, you don't know what they're about, where they're from, and like, you know, these are people, when you hear, I'm just saying from like my first time, right, like just sitting there and being like, oh, you've been in this industry for 20 something years and I just started, like, you know, you just feel less than, if that makes sense, and it's like harder to kind of put yourself out there, I think. But I will say, like, now 7 years in, and these people have become friends, and now when there is a new person, we're just like embracing them as like a big hug, like, oh my gosh, welcome, like, where are you from, da-da-da. And like, it's so much easier to like engage with someone, I think. But then at some of these like other ones where we have been like new, where there's like so many more industries involved and so many more professionals involved, like, that's a little bit different for me. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it also like the size of the conference plays a role. You know, we have 100 attendees. So it's definitely easier you're out having a cup of coffee outside the room to just shoot the breeze with someone. Yes. And we are in those industries, but the Flea Market Association, we live it, you know, so it's a little different, a little easier, but yes, I think you just gotta, you know, put yourself out there and create a conversation, right? Yeah. But I think what we've learned from the National Flea Market Association is that when I started 8 years ago, everybody was very welcoming to me.
Right.
When I started, so I just want to continue that as president to make sure everybody who comes as a new member or a current continues to feel that.
Yeah,
no matter
I agree.
where they come from, how many people they brought with them, how big their market is, they're part of the team, and hopefully they learn something from the conference.
What do we say to like people that aren't so open? Because there was another part of us like sitting on a board where it was like we would have sometimes like an assigned like lunch table where you were like forced to like not sit with people that you work with and talk to other folks. I know in my personal life, as we started this conversation, I don't like to engage with like random whatever. But when it comes to something like a conference setting, like I obviously do like it because you get me, like we do the same thing, right? What do you guys think about that? Like forced networking.
It doesn't bother me.
I mean, if someone new sat next to you, Rachel, and was just like,
"Oh, I'm hello, hi."
Okay,
like,
so you're cool.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be like, "Ooh,"
and it's
this
only
newbie.
and it's usually only like a lunch, so it's 20-30 minutes of
We
like
were
eating,
all new
so,
at one point or another.
That's a
okay.
good
yeah, I think, yeah.
Like, I was nervous last year when I went, but I feel like even if I were to go again, I'd be nervous. Yeah, but it would be like different. You know what I mean? Like I was that new
you
person.
remember a face.
Yeah,
or
and
something.
that's why I'm like everyone is new at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
What do we think about like swag? Do you think it's cheesy?
No. I think some can be cheesy. Just like if you're gonna do swag, do like the stuff that people are gonna use.
Totally.
Like don't be giving me a flash drive. When is the last time I used a flash drive? You know what I mean?
I mean,
send it in
some
Dropbox,
people
baby.
need a flash
But like,
drive.
you know what I mean? Like, get a water
I know what you
bottle,
mean.
sure.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
whatever.
We usually, we have a, for the association, we have a budget.
Conference
We have
swag.
a budget that we use, and so we try to, Steve is amazing at trying to get the best items we can within the budget. We also have some other folks that sponsor the swag, so they'll put their logo on it and
Totally.
it's passed around. So that's nice to have too. But I think swag is nice. I'm still a little, I'm in between.
You do, yeah.
Flash drive, not so much, but definitely water bottle. I don't throw
Yeah.
those out.
No.
Pen and paper.
Same.
Always keep it every year from the association.
JJ loves like the mugs.
The mugs, So there's a lot of stuff that I use every year that we get, like the bag. I have bags that I use for the beach or
Are you serious?
yeah, I keep the little bags. Oh, it's great. They're great. So you just never know
I ain't
when you're
taking
gonna.
that to the beach.
No, you definitely are not. Your swag is probably still in every hotel room before you depart. You're just like, leave it for somebody
That's
to
not
use.
true. There's certain stuff that I do really, really like. Like there's this one like fidget thing I like still have and mess around with.
Really? Okay. Well.
The pens I usually take. I appreciate those.
Yeah. It's swag's interesting, right? It's
Why did we stop giving away T-shirts? Like I feel like can we put like a T-shirt back in swag bags?
Give me
Come
a
on,
blanket or something, a little airport pillow.
pillow. Well, we did shirts last year. Remember?
dude. Yeah, for sale.
No, they were if you answered questions.
Oh, okay. So I gotta
Yeah.
answer some questions
Yeah.
this year.
Study
God.
up.
Yeah. Seriously.
Okay, how do you avoid burnout, especially if like a conference is like all day or maybe 2 days? Sometimes they're a week.
I mean,
What do
I
you guys
think,
think?
people are there for work, obviously, but you got to get a little bit of leisure in, like a little bit of fun to kind of break it up.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. So maybe just
Go
having
do
some
your
fun.
conference all day, and then when the conference is over, maybe get dinner and a cocktail and just take a moment, relax, do your thing, start the day the next day, ready to go.
I agree. Again, it goes back to the daily, daily ones. Maybe take a walk, coffee, talk, whatever. But multi-day, I feel like I agree with you. You have to try to do a little fun stuff
Break
in there,
it up in
sprinkle it in.
between, yeah.
Go a day before,
Yep.
show, dinner,
Yep.
whatever event, and then just enjoy your next 2 days, and then maybe stay a day after if time allows, and do some more stuff and kind of create like a vacation
Yeah.
or with it.
Leisure.
Leisure. We don't do that that often, as a team. And so it's nice to do that once a year.
I would say coffee. I'm surprised you guys.
Coffee?
Well, coffee
Yeah,
for like a day.
That's what I'm saying.
For a day one.
Day to day.
Oh, day
Okay,
to day.
they serve that all day though.
Dude, give me all the coffee, all the Diet Cokes, and the iced teas if you have it, I'm got to keep me hydrated. We love a little snack at 3 p.m.
You're right, the snacks are key.
Yeah,
Snacks.
you definitely got to keep people
A
full.
little piece of candy or two,
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Something to keep me engaged, you know what I'm saying? Or like one year at the NFMA when we had like the breakout of like the fighters come out. Something
That
like that.
was-
We need some little excitement.
Yeah, that was saving that for down the road in the chat, but that was if you had a question of like what's the coolest thing we've seen or something like that.
Yeah, that was pretty
I was going to
cool.
say the wrestlers, but
That was quite an
experience.
One of the best ones. No one was expecting that, even me, and I was throwing it. So that was a good one.
Yeah.
You knew about that.
yes, gentleman Rick is amazing. Brought up the idea of he hosted Lucha Libre, which is Mexican wrestling, at his location, and he broached a topic with me as Christina and I were hosting the conference for 4 years, which was a lot of fun. Learned a ton of stuff, but Rick had brought up the idea of surprising all the attendees with a couple Lucha Libre wrestlers and putting on a little performance.
That's great.
And it was
really cool.
so freaking cool. They were bodies.
It was like scripted, so they came out like full throttle, and no one had any idea. We're like, oh my gosh, like where are these guys coming from? And it was so cool because they like meant to be in there, and they had like a full-on argument and started fighting. Like it was so cool.
Yeah,
it was so cool. And then at the end, they're like, all right, anyone need business? We're open to sign.
Yeah, they actually came. They drove in from California.
It was cool.
And stayed the night. They were super cool. And then we hired them to do a Lucha Libre event at Swap-O-Rama last year. So that was pretty cool. We had the rings and all that stuff, and
it was cool.
They came in, and it was so.
I mean, and that just goes to show too. Like we would not have been introduced to them if we didn't. You know what I'm saying? Go to a conference. Sorry, I love concerts.
Yeah. What are you seeing
But
today?
no, if you don't go, you don't know. So okay. The next thing was how do you create these types of things? And Justin and I have had the pleasure of being hosts / chair people. So let's talk about that, Justin. What did you love? What did you not love?
I loved.
It's not easy.
Yeah. No, it is definitely
It is not easy. If you think you can host a conference, check yourself.
I think anybody can do it. I think you just have to plan properly, give yourself ample time to create your structure of the conference, the timeline, the types of presentations you think the audience want to hear and will get value from. And then, you have to talk to the presenters and talk about topics that are they're strong or they feel comfortable presenting to the audience.
Right.
Whether it's a main presentation or a breakout, what they feel comfortable with. So there's a lot of conversations, a lot of organization, a lot of planning, but it was fun. I learned a ton about that. I felt confident we were going to do it and do it well.
Right. You did?
I did.
Oh,
I
wow.
did. I really did. I think we complement each other well.
That's really
on
nice.
What each other
I didn't have that
brings.
vision some years.
Well, the fourth year was super. I want to say it was hard. It was harder because you run out of your net. You can only tap your network so much.
Right.
And your personal network, as well as your business network of the association.
Right.
So.
Well, that's the thing too.
Yeah.
I mean, like as a person that is putting this together and creating it, you want to make it worth something for somebody, right?
Yeah.
Especially when someone's paying money to go there, they're leaving their jobs, like they're bringing their staff. It's like you want to make it worthwhile. You want to make sure that you're hitting all the topics that people want to hear. So like Justin and I did a really thorough job of like getting into like some of the surveys that we saw and what people liked and didn't like, and like keeping all of that in consideration and organizing and getting all the like grit and whatever, and then trying to make it, like I said, like something different that no one has seen, like, is also hard. And then you go to some of these other ones and you're like, man, that was a good conference, how do we incorporate it into this one? So it was really not an easy task that we were tasked with, for sure.
You clearly know how you were a speaker, so we
on the outside,
we're grateful to have you, and people learn a lot from you. So you definitely have. I've only presented one breakout, other than doing the MC and organizing. That is not my strength of presenting in front of people. It's super hard for me to get my thoughts out. This is way easier with like 5-10 people, but when you're in front of a room of 100 people,
and they're looking at you, it's tough.
You got to be on, and you got to make sense, and it's so that is something that I would work on doing. This is growing in that department. So I know what I want to say, but it's you got to get it out. You know?
I think you have to have that though, as like a person. Like I think, especially thinking on some of the greats out there, it's like they're just naturally oozing that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like even like the smartest person in the world, I think probably couldn't do it. So it's not that. It's just something that like I personally think like a person is like born with. And like, again, these breakouts and like smaller situations where like, someone like you, someone like me, I've done breakouts where it's like, I feel confident in what I'm presenting. I know what I'm doing and like whatever, so I'm good with that. But then some of these other ones where they're like presenting life-changing like things for people, like a Mel Robbins or like, you know what I'm saying? Like some of these bigger names. Like I just feel like some of those, like Jay Shetty or something like that, like big time presenters like that. Dude, those people are like born with it because it's just so natural. Their thoughts just roll off their tongue, and I'm like, how did you organize that so quickly? I don't know.
And I always wondered, I didn't see behind me. Do they have teleprompters? Even these big presenters. Yeah, there was like just TVs like bullet on the points, ground. Kind of.
Yeah.
I missed that. I didn't see. Okay.
Sometimes they have like earpieces in too. So there's a lot.
They've got a little help along the way.
The NFMA does not have that.
No, we don't.
Cue cards.
But what we do have is an amazing team behind the conference. It's not just her and I or Anthony and his team. We have a conference committee chair. Conference committee that is comprised of 8, 10, 12 folks that help make the conference amazing and come up with ideas. They help present. And then we have an amazing back end of Steve. So we have a team. It's not that assists. And,
it's not a one-man job.
No. But anyway,
that's great. I don't know. So what do we say? Because we were, when we were tasked with finding speakers, and a lot of times like we did have a few people being like, oh, I don't know. What do we say? You, like you said, like you're so like, you're not a presenter, but you had to. How do you overcome that stuff?
You just go up and do it.
Yeah, I agree.
No one's doing it.
You gotta rip the Band-Aid off.
No one's gonna go introduce people. Well, our first few years we did at the introductions, we would read bios and introduce people, and then we realized like I'm pretty monotone. I'm not that exciting. You're like, let's switch it up, and you started making videos and doing some new stuff. You've got to like be creative and keep the audience engaged. I think that's the big thing.
Agreed.
Really?
Keep it fun.
How do you feel? How did you feel about presenting to people you didn't know? And
initially when you asked, I was like, sure, no problem. The day before, sure, no problem. The day of, I was like, what the flea am I doing? Why am I doing this? Maybe, and then a part of me was like, maybe nobody will sit at my table because they don't really know me. That didn't happen.
No, they come.
And they were all like behind the table.
And I was like, fresh blood.
I think I just kept telling myself, like, I remember literally sweating in the seat, and like I was like cold in that room but sweating because I was nervous, and I'm just like, you know what, it's gonna be fine. You just take take a deep breath, and yeah, but it's funny because like when Christina initially asked me, I was like, oh yeah, this will be no problem. And even the week before, we're like doing our stuff, I'm like, easy. The day before, and then the day of, I was like, oh my God, I feel sick. Why did I do this? Like, yeah, but same thing. You go up there and you just gotta rip the Band-Aid off.
Or you compare yourself to, right? It's like
Yep.
sometimes, especially something like in the flea market space where it's like you have a flea market that's bigger than yours or, does different things. It's like, oh, great, I just put this presentation together. Like, is it even relevant? Mm-hmm. And like everyone takes something from someone, so I never, and now I'm always like, okay, somebody will learn something from me, I hope, right? Or take away from a topic. But that was a big fear of mine when I like first did a few years ago present. I was just like, okay, do I know, like, is my knowledge like worthy of some of these people,
Yeah.
To touch on that, it's like someone's going to take away something like you said.
Yeah.
Now, is it going to be relevant to a market that is smaller or larger?
Right.
I mean, someone's always going to have different ideas that are, like you mentioned earlier, that they'll do something, you'll take away from that.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think it's interesting,
I mean, same thing with like the marketing one that you and I went to. It was like, there was like a presentation that was like strictly like B2B, and it's like, well, what about the B2C people?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, that wasn't really relevant, but you still learned from that person, right? Like there were core things that you could take away and apply. And for me, I don't even, like I'm like both ways. So I was like, right, this is great for me too. So I don't know. I think if you just go in with an open mind and get ready to like apply what you learn. Yeah. Do you think conferences are still like relevant? Like obviously we had this weird shakeup of like COVID coming in 2020, where a lot of things like closed down, and there was like this big fear of like, oh, like maybe these will go away. Like there won't be like in-person live type of events anymore or networking things, right? And then I feel like here we are 5 years later, and I think they're back up to where they were.
I feel like because some people are still so remote, a conference is like amazing because it gets people like re-excited.
Totally.
It's funny because I have friends, who are working for corporate America, and most of them don't go to the office. And I always say like, what would you guys do if your boss was like, you got to come back in? And my one friend's like, find a new job. I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'll never go back in. And I'm like, it's so interesting to me. And she's like, yeah, but then we like, she goes to these conferences and these like business huddles, and it's like with people who are in the industry, just not directly with her company.
Right.
And it's like, it like fuels her fire, and then she like takes it back to like her workplace. But I think that conferences are like making a comeback, to be honest. I feel like they're back, and like it's a good way to get people back in the seat,
right,
and back in the door. I think, especially with the way like the work has changed. I mean, I even look back, like you've always said, like you've never were remote, right? And so like even with during COVID and everything, I think like a conference or like business meetings, or like even how you guys like, okay, you run a flea market, you're able to go to location. You're not necessarily sitting in the desk all day, every day, which I think makes a big difference for people in the workplace. Yeah. And I think going to a conference is like a really good opportunity to literally meet people.
That up,
and break it up.
I think those are great points. I think we're fortunate where we have plans to do our week, but we can always visit a market to see, touch,
like feel,
talk.
Like as a creative person, I cannot sit in a cubicle 8 through 5, Monday through Friday.
I definitely could.
I just feel like I would rather throw me in the field.
Yeah, like
no.
Like, I have to leave.
Yeah, I'm like, oh.
No. I'm with you.
Yeah.
You and I are more like move.
Fidgety.
But it's I think yes, I agree that people, if this is your friend, she is going out to the conferences to get that connection.
Correct.
I mean, that's very good that she's doing something.
Yeah.
But and we know because every year we put RFPs out for the conference for the association a year in advance now.
What does
plus
RFP stand for?
Request for proposal.
For the folks that don't know, yeah.
So in any case, we send it out earlier to a lot of hotels in Vegas. During COVID, we were very fortunate, and I'm not knocking where we're going now, but we were able to.
We got a lot of hits.
We were able to capitalize on pretty much wherever we wanted to stay. We were getting yes, and at rates that were doable for the association, feasible, and we were at some really nice hotels. And now, when we send them out for the last few years, we were getting more no's because we're a smaller outfit, not as desirable as the big boys that will take up 1,000 rooms, whatever that is. And now we're getting a handful. We're getting 4 or 5 yeses, but it's just not as many. And so now we're saying yes sooner than we normally would for the following year. We already booked 2025 and we booked 2026 already at the same hotel. So we are very excited to be at the Paris. It's coming up. And we're excited to work with their team, and they just redid it, so we're looking forward to it. But long story short, I think yes, to answer your question, your initial question,
the relevance.
The relevance. I think it's very important.
Yes. I think so too. More than ever. I think like this whole stigma of like depression and people being like more sad and like mental health being at a forefront too. I think like conferences are a great way to like motivate you and like re-spark you, and at least for me, that's like a huge thing that I look for is like, what am I going to get out of it in terms of like, and sometimes like, and it's like no disrespect to what you do, but sometimes you are just in like a little rut and you need something to like kind of ignite your thoughts again.
Freshen
and like,
it up.
yeah, exactly. Like kind of help you like think that maybe you're not insane with like the work that you're doing or your ideas or whatever that may be, that you kind of just need that little boost. And I think conferences are like a great way to do that, same thing with like morale in your team. Like if you see kind of like a dip or down, like going to a conference all together is like such a great thing to do to like bring it back, you know what I mean? Like not only is everyone learning and they're mingling again, but it's something fun to do with your people. So for those reasons, in addition to like, working by yourself and stuff like that, I just think it's really important to kind of keep that going.
I agree. I feel like if I could go to a conference like twice a year, because I love that like high feeling you get after.
If I could go once a month, I would.
It literally is like the best. I'm like, I can't wait to like get in and start working and doing something different.
Yes.
Like
no joke.
I get fueled by that kind of stuff.
I'm not joking.
Getting an email with like a 20-page document, it ain't doing it for me. Sorry.
It isn't.
And when people want that from me, I'm like,
well, even the NFMA has been doing like webinars lately, and even those like are exciting to like do. It like breaks up your day for an hour, but it again just like you see a face that you've seen before. It's a topic that's relevant to what you're doing, and or obviously sometimes like they're not directly related, but I just love hearing it and like taking that break during my day to like engage with someone in my industry. I think it's like really cool. So yeah. One
thing you just said, when someone's in a rut or you are trying to accomplish a project or something, ideas, it's also I think the conference is you're not alone.
Exactly.
The feeling of there's other people in the same role or similar role, or it's just not even so much role like the same industry, but just the role of like what you're doing,
your day-to-day duties,
and you can bounce those feelings, emotions, or whatever it is, operations off them, and it feels good to know that you're not alone.
Exactly.
I think it's very important for the mental health and moving forward on something, the whole thing.
Of course. I love them. I would go once a month if I could.
Yeah. Don't be surprised when y'all see me at Paris. I'll hit up Anthony.
Rachel has her window, like her ear to the window. There's a can.
It's a can.
All right, final plug. So we've mentioned a couple times the NFMA, which is the National Flea Market Association. If you're new here, if you are a flea market, you need to go. It's been life-changing for us. We've met as Justin mentioned, like such good friends and colleagues over the years, but also we gained 2 flea markets because of it. So, whatever you're looking for, even if you're like a farmer's market, there's like some sort of benefit there for you. We're going in a couple weeks here in February. What days was it? It's like the 11th and 12th.
Yes.
Okay. So typically we do like a Tuesday and Wednesday situation, and then there's like a meet and greet on Mondays. There's a cocktail party that they have on typically Tuesday night. Again, you'll see like industry professionals within the flea market industry. You'll see outside speakers. This agenda looks pretty solid this year. I'm excited about it. And yeah, what else am I missing?
No, networking.
Yes, the networking.
Networking's
It's the
great. Learning about what's going on for legislative.
Yes.
To operations, to marketing, to social media, to you name it. It's gonna
Event
be
planning. I mean,
events at your location.
Yeah.
Food.
Well,
is
even like the
discussed.
vendors that we bring on, so like vendors that like, certain flea markets use, they'll typically come on and talk about their services that they provide.
Yep.
And
Good
so there's
point.
an opportunity to, hire someone from there. It's just a good time.
I think too, if like you're a newer flea market or you just
Yep.
took over a flea market,
Yep.
you need to be at this.
Totally.
Like seriously.
And that's the majority of the new people that we see, which we love to see,
Or there's some folks that didn't come to the conference for many years, were members a long time ago, and then they decided to come back. It's great to see them after you hear the story, we took a break, or, and that's what the whole, I think the important part of the agenda is to, the word
Engage,
spreads,
yeah.
is to create some buzz and new topics, new ideas to bring in the older folks and then keep the current ones.
Yeah.
Makes
So,
sense.
Totally. Final thoughts on conferences, NFMA, anything?
Sign up. They're worth it.
Yeah.
Definitely sign
Get
up.
yourself out of your
I was
comfort
gonna
zone,
say, get
whether
yourself
it's
out of your
this one
comfort
or-
zone, or even if like you are just in like a work rut, this is like the perfect place to like regroup, rebounce, bounce ideas off like-minded professionals, and you will meet new friends.
Yeah.
Just give it a chance. Last few years, people have come for the first time. In our survey, they say this is amazing. Can't wait to come back. So
Yeah.
give it one chance, and I guarantee you're going to stay.
Yeah, I think too, like, if you think you know it all, you don't.
Factual.
Like, everything changes so quickly. I don't care if you're, like, the president and you've been doing something for 40 years. Like, you will learn something from someone, whether it's just, anything customer service related, whatever. And that's relating to the NFMA. But even if you do something else, something about your leadership style, burnout, like all these big topics of, like, things that genuinely happen to your day-to-day, you can learn from, how to manage any of those things. And again, even if you just meet a new buddy or like crack a conversation and smile with someone, I think that right there is worth the go.
And it's only $449. So it's really not that
That's
bad.
a great price
for
compared to some of these other
conference.
ones.
Yeah,
And that's
that is really not bad.
And again, that's
Yeah.
before January 1st. But it's only a little bit more after that. So,
Okay.
but give it a shot. It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Well, all right, guys, go to the NFMA, go to their website. I think it's fleamarkets.org, right?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah. So anyways, just drop us a comment too. I can help you get signed up. I'm on the committee. Justin's the president here, so if you have any questions, like, we're happy to help. But yeah, that's all we have time for on conferences and the NFMA conference that we're going to. I'm excited.
Thanks for joining us,
yeah,
Justin.
thanks for coming
Thank
back,
you, ladies.
JJ.
I look forward to the next invite. Hopefully, there's another one.
See you next week.
And yeah, thanks for watching.
We'll
It's
strap
great.
you up next week.
All right.
Don't
Yeah.
say that to us, okay?
As always,
you.
if you guys like this episode, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, thanks for listening to another episode of You
Me
and the
The Flea.
Flea.
See you next time.
week.